Well, I've since gotten the jug back for the Gravely from Kogan Valley Machine. They did a great job on it. I got new valves, new valve guides, new valve seats, and they decked the head because it was off 10 thousandths. So that came out real nice. It's still at the STD piston size. They haven't bored it over. It's at the maximum, I think, but it should be alright because I'm putting new rings on the piston, and I really don't have the money to bore it over now, so I'm going to leave it as is. So they did a great job on this. Really nice. Definitely satisfied with it. So I got that all degreased, and that's ready to go back in. Definitely a big difference from what it was before. And the piston here, I got to clean that up some. Looks like it had some blow by over the top ring, so that might have gotten out of alignment over time. Get that cleaned up, and that'll be ready to go back in. Got new rings for it. The head, they didn't deck the head. Head seemed like it was alright, so I left that alone. And I got the valve covers and the lifters all cleaned up, and those came out pretty nice. So I got all new gaskets for those. I bought a gasket set from Richards along with the rings, and the only gasket they didn't send was this one here, because they have these ones, but I think they're for the spring-loaded valve covers because they're just a little too big. But it's not a big deal. I just used the originals. And the exhaust one, I found it a little odd when I was cleaning it. I don't know if it's just from wear or if it was ground like that, but right there I got a nice shiny spot. Yep, there you go. So I'm guessing it's wear, but I just kind of found it a bit interesting when I was cleaning them. And that one's all set. That's for the intake. Got new gaskets for those also. And cleaned up the top of the engine, so that's all degreased and scraped down and everything, and ready to go back on. I've also drained the oil from this, and I have another oil filter I'm going to throw on here. So that's already loosened. Finally came loose after all this time, so that's ready to come off. So now I guess we could start by putting on these valve lifters and the covers. Got the lifters in. Now I can go and clean up the piston. I got the rings off the piston here. Unfortunately the second one broke, but at least it wasn't the new ones. Got some carbon built up on there, which I'm going to scrape off, see if we can't get that all cleaned up. And we'll clean up the top of the piston here, and then we can slip the rings back on. Now the piston cleaned up pretty good. A little bit of steel wool and a razor knife cleaned all that carbon off there. And I degreased it with some brake cleaner. And I got the rings back on there, so now I'm just going to set those up, and I'll oil it up really good, and I'll slip it inside of the jug, and then I'll take the jug and I'll hold it over the connecting rod, and I'll slip the wrist pin through, and I'll push everything down, and then I can bolt the jug up. So I already got the gasket on there, and I got all my nuts and washers, so those are all ready to go. So let's get this piston in the jug and the jug on the tractor. Alright, well I got my piston all ready to go here. So it's all oiled up, and I got my rings set. And I got the one in the middle there set up right in the center of the piston, and I got the other ones about an inch to each side. And then the second one I got down here, which is in between the expansion slot and the wrist pin hole. And the other one is right there. Let's see, get to stay. And the other one's right there. So it should work. I think they're about 120 apart, somewhere around there. So we'll give that a shot. And now I'm going to see if I can't push that in. Let's see how this goes. Well, there's our first one. Let's see if we can go for our second. And the slot is over the exhaust valve, so when I turn it back up, it will be on the right if you're standing behind the tractor. Now for the oil ring. And we're in. A lot easier than I thought it was going to be. So just degrease the base there where the gasket's going to go in, and slip it on the tractor, get the wrist pin in, and then we can bolt down the jug. Alright, well now I'm ready to put the jug back on. So I got my valve covers all set, and I put some RTV on the bottom of them because of those old gaskets. Hopefully they'll stay on there as I'm putting it down. Get this all oiled up. Go. Just rest this here for a minute. Alright, we're in the gap. Pull out my rag and get my jug gasket on. Yeah, this goes smoothly, it'd be nice. Which is probably not gonna. It's hitting out. Go. Actually, I think I know what. Nope, it's going now. Unless I get this thing to move up, which it's not going. Oh, grab that. Right on this side. Nope. Awfully loose. Well, I finally got the jug on now. I was having trouble with these gaskets down here. The ones that go right there between the valve cover and the lifters there, and I put the old ones in there and they weren't working, and then I tried those other round gaskets up right there, and it was still really too tight. And then I had some rubber O-rings that I put in there, but they were too stiff and I couldn't tighten the jug down all the way, so I heated them up with a little torch and I squished them in the vise, made them a bit smaller, put them in there, tightened it down, and we're finally down. They're not moving. There's no gasket up there. I don't think there was. And it's fitting a lot better now. And it does go up and down just fine. It's nice and tight. And the valves move alright. So hopefully tomorrow I can get the head on. I'm going to adjust the valves, get the valve cover gaskets on, and maybe, which would be nice, get it all back together by the end of this weekend. So this is part 1 of the Gravely rebuild, and part 2 will be coming tomorrow.